So much focus on the defensive side of the ball, and it makes sense. 49ers just interviewed their former defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh, but we can't forget about the offensive side of the ball, where the 49ers have a new coordinator, Klay Kubiak, promoted to that role, and how they adapt and tailor this offense to the franchise quarterback, Brock Purdy, is going to be fascinating this offseason, because I do think there's some work to be done to surround the most important 49er. You can see that this is the 49er from Deli Board. This is the grand reveal of the 49er from Deli Board. This is maybe the best sandwich in the world. Just got to see Adam, a Cleveland native. By the way, the 49ers are headed back to Cleveland this next season, where I can go back to Slyman's, which is the deli that inspired this sandwich. So this is quality. 49ers have a quality quarterback in Brock Purdy. We can talk a little bit more about how they're going to architect this offense. Klay Kubiak, the reason I think that the offensive coordinator promotion is so important is that Kyle Shanahan needs a truly trusted lieutenant who could keep an eye on the big picture so they don't get stuck down the rabbit hole of passing the football 16 straight times, 10 straight times in a close game, a one-possession game against Detroit. They were successful when they were balanced. That's when Brock Purdy was tearing the Lions up, and they were unsuccessful when they weren't balanced. You can't have defenses sitting on specific tendencies if you're the 49ers. So Klay Kubiak is graduating to the next level of respect, and I think that's reflected by the job title. That's all important. The other thing they talked about yesterday was Deebo Samuel. And John Lynch said the 49ers aren't in the business of letting good players out the building. That Deebo Samuel's a good player. People don't talk enough about what he went through this past season. He was in the hospital with pneumonia. He was dealing with an oblique injury. He's undoubtedly a good player, but his struggles, irrespective of the adversity that helped contribute to those struggles, his struggles are a reminder of the fact that the 49ers have a shifting type of need from their skill position weapons surrounding Brock Purdy. And by that, I mean Deebo Samuel was a perfect weapon for Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Jimmy had the very quick release, the elite quick release, and they had a really bad offensive line back then, even worse than it is right now in pass protection. And so they needed to get the ball out quickly. Jimmy was really good at that short game, and Deebo Samuel, one of the greatest we have ever seen in terms of yards after the catch, would take the ball and run with it. He's not your standard man-beating wide receiver, though. He's not going to be your X wide receiver. And what the 49ers missed most this year for Brock Purdy was the X. That's why they paid Brandon Ayuk so much money, but it was devastating when he got hurt and he wasn't playing at his full level because he missed training camp even before he tore his ACL and his MCL. They're also missing Christian McCaffrey, he's a man-beating, space-generating machine in his own right. So the 49ers actually ranked dead last in average yards of separation at the time of catch or incompletion, which, as you might guess, is not good. They need to be better in that regard. So they're going to get Ayuk back at some point. They should get Christian McCaffrey back. They should have that full off season of healing, and that's going to be all good. But then you wonder, where does Deebo Samuel fit into all this, since he's not the great separator? And I think that Deebo Samuel fits into the picture really well when they have the steady presence at the X spot, when they have Christian McCaffrey opening up space. That's when Deebo comes in at the Z position and can really be a benefit, even if it's just an auxiliary benefit to the offense, but he can be a benefit to the offense. He's not going to be the centerpiece of the offense. That leads the 49ers to the decision of his future. He's under contract for one more season. The cap hit, I think, this year is about $15 million. You can actually extend him if you think that you can get an advantageous lower number over the course of the next 2-3 years. If you think that Deebo, once he's healthy and once he's not the focal point of the offense with other guys healthy around him, if you think he's going to be a good addition to this offense, that actually wouldn't shock me. But the one thing that you're not going to do is just cut Deebo Samuel and let him walk for nothing. Like, something's got to come in return for the 49ers, which is why John Lynch said they're not in the business of letting good players out of the building. He just isn't the same match with Brock Purdy as he was with Jimmy Garoppolo, though. The 49ers are a more intermediate to deep team now with Brock Purdy. They scramble a little bit more. They're looking for those types of separators. That's what they haven't had over the past couple years. But he still is a battering ram that could be an effective piece of the 49ers offense. I think it really is important to take a look at the big picture in that regard. You know, more big picture stuff, and I think I'm repeating those two words a lot, big picture. It comes back down to just how the 49ers call games, how they stay in rhythm for Brock Purdy, how they stay balanced. There's so much ridiculous talk right now. I think it was Terrell Owens today. He was like saying, yeah, Brock Purdy's not one of those quarterbacks who could just will the team to consistently win games. There isn't a single quarterback in the history of the game that can just will his team to consistently win games all by himself, right? I think Owens said all by himself. We have great quarterbacks. They're varying degrees of QB quality that we've seen over the history of football, but no one has ever been able to do something by themselves. This is the ultimate team sport. You've got 11 guys plus the play caller. It's a very cohesive operation that's needed, and there's never been a quarterback, regardless if it's Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Jimmy Garoppolo, Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, or Brock Purdy that's been able to do it by himself. It takes the entire unit, and that's why it's so important to look at the structure and the process around the quarterback play caller cohesion. The fact that the 49ers have doubled down so confidently on Brock Purdy being their guy is a great thing entering these contract negotiations, because that shows that even after this is signed, sealed, and delivered, the 49ers they're invested. This is no half-assed thing that they're doing. They love where Brock Purdy's coming from, and I think it's really clear that Brock Purdy really enjoys working within the structure of the 49ers offense. That structure can get a whole lot better if Kyle Shanahan has that voice to keep him honest, even if Kyle's calling the plays, and I think that Klay Kubiak is graduating into that Mike McDaniel role for the 49ers, and it can continue to get better if the separation gets better, which relies on all the receivers. I think Ricky Pearsall's emergence is really promising for the 49ers. I think George Kittle is playing the best football of his career. I think they extend him this offseason. People said I was crazy for advising that a couple weeks ago, and now it seems to be mainstream thought. Funny how that works. So the 49ers have the weapons to make this as seamless as possible for Brock Purdy, and any quarterback in the history of the game needs that system to be operating for him. It is a team sport. It is a team effort. And the theme of this 49ers offseason, maybe starting with that Klay Kubiak news, can be framed around how do you set things up the best for Brock Purdy? Because when things have previously been set up really well, but not perfectly, he's been the best quarterback in football. I mean, he was the #1 guy in the entire league when it came to QBR in 2023, and that was even behind an offensive line that wasn't great in pass protection. So how do you continue climbing that ladder? And I think you do it by improving the structure around Brock Purdy. You don't need to improve the structure of the 49er from Dilly Board. It's the sandwich of the day. College football playoff tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm told that if I don't take a bite out of the sandwich, it's not a satisfying video.